Excellent. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to, I think, and I hope you guys think as well, it's going to be a really, really interesting discussion. Yes, it's about Reiki again, but it's about Reiki with a little bit of a twist. So I've got Claudia here who is over in Brazil. I do believe it's Brazil you're in. And Claudia is looking more into the research and the findings of Reiki on animals, specifically anxiety, and in dogs and pets and what have you. So there's been a lot of work that Claudia's been doing in the ground with regards to that. So I thought that would be a really interesting twist for people to be aware of about Reiki and about also not just Reiki for us, but also for our pets and loved ones and loved family members, because that's what they are at the end of the day. You know, our pets are our family members.
Yeah, that's true. Well, let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Claudia Barbieri. I am a veterinary doctor and I am a homeopath also. And I started on Reiki due to my pet, due to one of my dogs that he developed cancer and then he ended up dying. And when he died, I started to ask myself, what have I done wrong about him? Because I always treated him naturally. I had always been on homeopathy and natural things and natural treatments, and I couldn't realize why he has developed cancer. He was such a calm dog, and so he was very cool. He was uh, very calm, and I couldn't understand that. So that was when I found Reiki because I was looking for something to explain to me what
Mm,
has happened, and I realized that it was all about energy
mm,
because I was very anxious. I was very anxious, and I realized that I passed that anxiety to him. And maybe all that energy and all that anger I had and things like that made him uh, not that just that, but helped him to develop cancer. And then I found Reiki, and I started studying, and I thought it was very interesting. Uh, and I started to do it to do it in my other dog, and then I started to use it on my patients, and I started seeing results, and I thought, wow, it works because I
mm,
was not from this field. Um, Before becoming a vet, I was an economist. I used to work with finance in the financial markets and things like
right.
that, and so I
Mm,
was quite skeptical, let's say.
mm,
And and when I saw that Reiki worked, I thought, wow, it's great. But on the other hand, I realized that people also doesn't get it as well, and doesn't they don't understand what that Reiki can be done in animals, that it can help animals, and it does help animals. And that was when I started to think about how could I contribute? How could I show these people that Reiki really works and that animals can benefit from it? And that was when I started thinking about doing research and proving it scientifically. Um, this is the beginning of
mm.
everything.
Yeah, that's it. I just find it absolutely fascinating. I do find it really interesting. I mean, over the year, I think a lot of people don't realize that there is quite a lot of research that has gone into Reiki, but you have to kind of like really dig to find it. So the fact that like you're out there quite easily accessible on social media, and you're putting this message out that you want to, you're looking for people to contribute to help as well with the Reiki. You're looking for people who practice Reiki to be able to give some of their time towards the research and the tests that you're doing to prove the effectiveness of Reiki and on animals and on pets. So are some of these people that you're looking for as well to help you with this research, is this through distance Reiki as well? Is it just in-person Reiki for the pet, or is it a combination of treatments?
No, this time it will be only distant Reiki because since I am not, uh, I don't have any sponsorship from any university or things like that. I don't have a place to do Reiki. So
Mm,
all the Reiki practitioners that are going to help me are from my school, let's say, the school
yeah.
where I learned Reiki, and they live all over the country, and there are
Mm,
some who lives in the US also, and so we are doing it distant Reiki.
yeah.
Um, my first study was distant Reiki as well. The only difference is that this time it will be online Reiki. I mean, we are going to do the sessions with a Zoom
Hmm.
with Zoom.
Hmm.
And the first time we did really distant Reiki, we had the time set, and the person should be there with the dog, but we didn't had an online Reiki, and it
Mm,
worked the same because energy is energy. So
yeah.
that's why it's online. I would like to do something more specific, for example, um, by measuring some biochemical uh, parameters and things like that. But as I say, since I don't have a hospital behind me or a
Hmm.
university, it gets kind of difficult. So
Yeah.
it will be
Yeah.
through validated questionnaires, but it will be all online.
Yeah. It does become trickier unless, like you say, unless you've got some funding or something behind you to be able to put this work forward, to be able to sponsor it or pay for it. It does become a lot more challenging. There is a video that I've seen recently, probably just a few days ago actually, and it just conjured up in my mind there. And it was a video of there was a lady that was giving Reiki to another lady. So it was in person, but the lady that was receiving the Reiki, she was being filmed through one of those cameras that can sort of detect your aura. So the camera was showing this sort of orangey green glow around her. And then the lady that was giving the Reiki, the person said, "Okay, now start to give the Reiki." So she started connecting to the Reiki and channeling the Reiki, and moved her hands into the auric field, and the aura started to change color into sort of a purpley color. So instead of being an orangey green, it went to purple because there was that connection of the energy moving into the auric field. And I just thought, wow, that if we could all get something like that to show, and because I think the majority of people, they want to see something, they want to be able to see it with their own eyes, to be able to believe it. Um, because as we know, Reiki, it's not like a cure by for everything, but it's sometimes it can take a while for the effects to get to the root cause of the problem. And I think sometimes maybe people maybe feel a little bit kind of disheartened that it's going to be more than one session. But I think just having that validation of being able to see something like that, it would be so amazing if that was openly available to the mainstream world, to just be able to see that for validation purposes. So with regards to the distance treatments that you're doing for the animals, is it going to be obviously you're saying it's going to be via Zoom, and it's going to be for the animal, and I'm guessing the owner as well will be there to receive the healing.
Yeah, because as a vet, we- I, I observe that there is a huge link between the anxiety of the owner and the anxiety of the dog. So
Mm.
um, what we are going to do is to divide the study into four groups. So one group, both will receive Reiki, the owner and the dog. The other group, only the dog will receive Reiki. The other group, only the owner will receive Reiki. And the control group, that no one will receive Reiki. Exactly to measure the effects of Reiki, but also the effects of Reiki in the owner and the impact in the dog, because we always see that, if you have a dog, the dog will be good for your health because he will contribute for you to be calmer, to do more exercise. But we never look at the dog side
Mm.
because, as I said, our anxiety, our anger, all of these can affect the dog. So it will be shown also in this research, I hope,
Yeah,
that both are related and both uh, the, can can be influenced by each other. Because there
mm.
are many people who say, no, no, I am anxious, but my dog he's so calm. He won't feel anything. He's always good. And that's not exactly true. Yeah,
Mm.
they do feel the energy of their family, and they do feel the things that are going on. So uh,
Yeah,
this is one of the objectives of the study.
yeah. It's really good as well that you've got three different control groups, so to get find the effects and the effectiveness of Reiki with different people. And there's a lady from the UK, which I think she's living in the US now. She's called Dr. Anne Baldwin. I don't know if you've heard of
Oh,
her.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I know she's a professor of I think physiology and things like that, or in Arizona. And obviously she's a Reiki master as well, and she's written a book about the clinical effects of Reiki. And so
Yeah.
that's a really good deep dive research book to go into about Reiki. And obviously she looks at the effects of like Gasho, and how that helps your physiology and your heart rhythm and reducing stress and things like that. But one of the tests that she did as well, which is in this book, but I've also watched a video that she talks about, and it was about the rats. They did experiments on three types of rats. One set of rats, they had actual Reiki. Another set of rats had like placebo rape where they weren't doing anything, and then the other set of rats was like kind of like just a sham Reiki where they were pretending to give Reiki but they weren't actually, and and the rats that were actually receiving the Reiki had the best response to all of the other rats, with the physiological changes in the body, the brain activity, the heartbeat, everything calmed down and what have you. So it when you start looking into it and look for the research, it's out there if you want to find it, if you really want to find it. So it is out there. So I mean, I think it's amazing what you're doing, and I think it's very pioneering as well of you to do this, to actually go into this field of work because it's not covered enough. Like, it really isn't covered enough. And I think it needs to be more people like you to be able to do that, to share it, to show it.
Yeah, especially in that, because what I felt is that in human medicine, there are lots of research. But when you go and look for research in animals, and I mean in pets and things like that, you don't find. I found really four or five researches which
Mm,
were carried on animals, one in horse, one in dogs, and this one, which can be also considered from Anne Baldwin, which is in rats, but it's quite a small number of research. So and the vets they are skeptical with this biofield therapies. They don't believe it.
mm,
And I think that it's for two reasons. First, because when we are taught at the university that we have to do this and that the medicine should be this for that sickness and so on. And the other thing is that get they doesn't understand that animals are really sentient beings, that they feel things and they can develop health issues from their emotions. um, I think most of them don't understand this aspect. So with research in this field of veterinary, uh, I guess it will be they will understand it better, and maybe in the future they will accept it.
mm,
As for example, I've been in the US in April and May, and I visited Boston Children's Hospital, which is a huge hospital there, and they use Reiki in their settings and to all the children and patients and parents, and so it's a mainstream hospital which
mm.
really uses Reiki and
Yeah,
recognizes Reiki as an important therapy.
yeah,
So that that is exactly what I would like to see in veterinary hospitals because it does help.
mm,
It does help. The animals get really calm.
mm,
From this year, I started to include Reiki on my consultations. So I give them 20 minutes of Reiki, and it's amazing because the dogs and the cats and the dog parents and pet parents, they get really calm.
mm.
Oh, it works. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it does. they
It is.
they
It's
go.
it's amazing, isn't it? It's so simple. Because you don't really have to put any thought into it, but it's just so simple and it's so subtle and effective and powerful. And I always say to like my clients that I work with, when they wake up after the treatment, they just feel so light and so calm and so relaxed. And they always say, "Oh, I don't want to leave. I don't want to go." And I was like, if you could bottle this stuff and sell it, you'd want to because it is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. It really is amazing stuff. Um, so obviously, you were mentioning earlier about anxiety. So you struggled with anxiety as well a while back, and you found that
Yeah,
maybe the dog was picking up on the anxiety as well, like this
yeah,
transference.
yeah. I guess it was one of the reasons because as I said, from the material point of view, from food to treatments, he took everything uh, of the best I had to offer him. So
Mm,
I think it was really anxiety and anger and things like that that ended up to and worries of the daily life and things like that that ended up um, affecting him.
yeah,
I
yeah,
I do think that, and I see it very often because it's in the daily practice you can see that often the dog or the cat has the same illness as the dog owner.
mm,
Um, if the person, if the dog has any issue from, for example, an arthritis or things like that, the owner also has problems. If he has gastritis, the dog has gastritis. And if he has diabetes, probably the owner has diabetes. So
mm.
it's quite similar. It's quite often to see that.
It's very interesting, isn't it? This transference that we have on our animals and on our pets. I know I've got two dogs, and when we first rescued them, they were like very, very anxious of like new people, I don't think they'd been kind of like exposed much to life really. So they're really anxious of new situations and people that they didn't know. And one of the dogs he just doesn't like other dogs at all. He just can't abide them. I've tried all sorts to get him to like other dogs, but he just doesn't want to know them. So there's some level of trauma there that's happened in his earlier life. And yeah, but that anxiety within them, it's dramatically subsided from where they were because I give them Reiki all the time, and if I'm just meditating, they'll curl up next to me and they'll just feed off that energy to just calm them down. I too years ago suffered with anxiety quite badly, and that's why for me anxiety itself it's it's quite a big subject for me because a lot of my clients as well, they tend to gravitate towards me because they have anxiety, which is massive around the world for most people now because of the stresses of Western life. Um, and one of the things that I try to get across to people as well and try to explain to people is what I feel anxiety is, which is usually for me, it's kind of like a fight or flight response to your situation, to your life situation. You just want to try and take yourself away from that and not be present with yourself. Would you agree with that, or would you say there was other things behind it as well? What's your take on anxiety?
I think I agree that anxiety is a very common issue, and I really think it's due to our lifestyle and all the things that especially the ones who live in big cities. We are
Hmm.
always in a rush and we have many things to do. And now with social media and things like that, it's lots of information. And
Hmm.
wow, you don't know exactly what to do. And I think it does bring anxiety to everyone. So I think it's very difficult to see a really anxiety free person nowadays.
Mm.
I believe everyone has a little bit of anxiety, but many people suffer really badly with anxiety. So I think it's a big issue, and it's a big issue that can lead to other problems, to other health problems. And for example, in dogs, dogs with anxiety can develop gastrointestinal problems,
Mm.
skin problems, and even other uh, serious things. So I think it's a really important issue to be assessed, and I
Mm.
think it's a really important. How can I say? Why I decided to do this next research on anxiety, because in my previous study, um, I evaluated many things. I evaluated pain, anxiety, fear, aggressiveness, and many other things. But
Mm.
the only one which was significant, statistically significant, was pain. But we know that Reiki is quite good for anxiety.
Mm.
So I decided to do something specific to anxiety and to use the specific questionnaires, which are already validated and things like that, to assess the impact of Reiki in anxiety, because we do know it contributes to make the person and the animal um, less anxious and things like that.
Yeah.
And
What do you think? I mean, obviously, I know, and probably a lot of the viewers might know because a lot of the viewers on my channel know about Reiki and have experienced Reiki. But for anyone that's not watching, what do you think Reiki is doing to help people's anxiety? What's it? What do you think is going on in the background? Yeah, okay, so the practitioner may be sending distance healing, or they may be doing hands-on healing. But what do you think is actually taking place within that bio residence connection?
I think it's I think the energy that surrounds the person and starts to soothe the person and the person will um, I mean will take the time to relax, and then
Mm.
the nervous system will calm down. And I think it's this kind of thing that happens. And it doesn't matter whether it's a distant Reiki or hands-on Reiki. I think the person will really receive the good energy and the good vibration, and then will calm down and relax, and will feel more confident. And I think that's I don't know if you mean by the biological point of view, or the
Well,
energy point of view.
yeah, well, just like the full the full spectrum really. So like biologically, energetically, mentally, because it all sort of the mind body connection, it all links into one anyway, which then is interpreted by the person's energy, and what their energy is doing. So obviously the practitioner is facilitating the healing and holding that space for them to then just kind of relax and allow everything to just become one and to just calm down. And like you'd mentioned, what I feel is, and I think the biggest thing about the Reiki and about Reiki healing is it's all to do with the nervous system and just calming the nervous system down, getting into your parasympathetic nervous system, and just allowing, once you get into that calm flow state, everything then starts to operate. Well, it starts to function properly, and easier, because it's not trapped by tension of stress and worry and anxiety, anxiousness, or anger, and all this stuff that we can hold in and bottle up, and it creates tension in the body. When you start to just let go of that, and then everything just sort of becomes as it should be and flows so much easier. And that's kind of like my take on Reiki and Reiki healing. But I know everybody's got their own definition of explaining Reiki, and some people like to try and give it the more spiritual twist. Some people want to be more in the physiological twist of things, looking at the biology and the body itself. Where do you stand on that? Do you like to try and be more factual, science based, or you're more in the spiritual energy side of things?
I guess I am floating in both because
Mm,
I understand the spiritual point of view, but I think that for my my objective, which is to bring Reiki into veterinary practices as a complementary therapy, I think it's important to go to the factual side and to say, wow, Reiki works because it uh, it calms the nervous system, it acts through parasympathetic nervous
mm,
systems, and to explain it, how it can lower cortisol and things like that, because that's the that's the language
yeah,
that people
yeah,
in healthcare understands. they
yeah.
they don't understand if you talk about chakras, and if you talk about energy healing and things like that, that would be really woo,
Mm,
something.
yeah.
And that can work as a barrier, because
Mm,
they will say, yeah, what's she talking about, energy and chakras and all. And so in this field, we have to be more practical, more scientific, more um, explain with biological terms and physiological terms why it's taking place, because
mm,
healing is taking place, but they have to have this explanation of
yeah,
how it's working.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I just thought it was
Important.
interesting because obviously I know that you're working in the science field, but obviously you're working with something that a lot of people think of quite spiritual and energy, and so it must be quite hard for you to. You might want to be in one camp or the other, but you have to be kind of in between and know both aspects of it because, like you say, um, the medical side of things that they want the factual information of how it actually works, and that's kind of like where when I first started with Reiki, I was very much into spirit and spiritual energy and angels and all this and all this sort of stuff, which a lot of people don't connect with, and it's not for me now looking at it and like, okay, it's great to think of that, and I still believe in all that as well. How do you actually make that connection to people, and and people that need Reiki as well, and the people that need Reiki need to have evidence. They need to know that it's going to work for them, why it's going to work for them, how it's maybe worked for me as a practitioner over the years of being able to have Reiki sessions, work on myself with meditation and other practices that I've used in between to then be able to heal my anxiety, my mental health, my mental and emotional state to get me to where I am now. And I think that's basically what people are looking for. They're looking for something that is that is explainable and it is real and it's tangible. And if they can see that it's happened and helped either a person or an animal or whatever, then it can help them as well. And I think that's the barrier that we have to get across to a lot of people.
Yeah. In this aspect, what really helped me? Because as I said, I was a former economist and I used to work in the financial market. And then I went to that because it was always my dream. And then I went to Reiki. And then, what really helped me, because in the beginning, okay, I recognized Reiki as a great healing tool. But on the other hand, I was that person who was, wow, how can it work? Yeah,
Mm,
it works. Always that thing. And I was a little bit of, I won't tell anyone that I do Reiki. I just told some people, some of my clients, which were more open, but I didn't in the beginning. I couldn't talk to anyone because I had my doubts, I guess, internally. And
mm,
when I started a Reiki mentorship, yeah, that was when my Reiki teacher showed me that y- you cannot be ashamed of what you're doing. You have
mm,
to tell people what you're doing because it's working. Yeah, and that was the time when I decided to start researching and proving that okay, maybe I am proving the other people that thought exactly like I did some years ago.
mm,
Yeah, and that's
mm.
the point. That's why I understand how they feel now because I felt that way as well. You know,
Yeah.
and this Reiki mentorship it really helped me because after I took this mentorship, I realized I could do something better and that Reiki was quite important. And I was not a homeopath vet, a holistic vet, but I was a Reiki master and I was using Reiki on my visits so that I decided to put it on my visits. And some clients, um, some the minority said, "Do you want a mini Reiki session at the end of the consultation?" No, no, I don't want. Okay, if you don't want, that's all set. But I always say it's included in the price. It will not cost more, and
Mm,
you can at least try it. And a uh, little number of people say no, but the majority um, accept and like it. And then I could realize that Yeah, it is helping people, and that's why I am going through the research area and
Yeah,
try to.
yeah. I was very much the same as you when I was going through all my things as well, what I was going through at the time. And there was a lot of strange occurrences that happened at the time. I started meditation. The meditation cleared my mind. I left the job I was currently in. I went to a different job. When I went to this different job, it was there that I found these leaflets about Reiki. And something in the back of my head, just a bell went off in the back of my head. It was like, you need to know more about this. And the man on the leaflet came in the coffee shop that I was working at the time every day, pretty much. So I struck up a conversation with him and asked once, I was like, so what's this Reiki? What's it all about? And so he was explaining to me what it was. And then he said, well, come along, your first session's free, you've got nothing to lose. So I went along, I had my first free session. I was just like, wow, what is this? So with the meditation, with the Reiki, it was just like it was like an extra layer had been lifted off me. Much more clarity, felt so much more calmer in my body, and in my mind especially. So then I had a few more sessions, but before that I was just thinking, well, I've gone this far. I've taken the medication. It's not really worked. I feel like a zombie. What have I got to lose at the end of the day? So I just went along and I did it. Um, I had no expectation. I wouldn't say I wasn't cynical, but I didn't believe. I was somewhere in between. I thought I'll just try it. I'm just open to trying it. And the effects were just mind-blowing. And it was from them first few sessions that I just knew I had to know more about it, had to learn it, and I had to be able to teach it. I felt it was something that I needed to do. So, and now here I am as a Reiki teacher and a practitioner as well to share more knowledge about Reiki and to meet people around the world like yourself and talk about the Reiki and the different aspects of how we use it to bring healing into the world, to help the world and help our animals as well. That's a huge thing for me because I absolutely love animals. I love all life, but animals especially have always been a big part of my life. So being able to facilitate Reiki and give my pets Reiki is just like it's amazing. It really is amazing. Um, do you feel that I know because obviously dogs and animals have a different type of vision to us. Do you think dogs can see the Reiki? Do you think they can see the energy? Or maybe
I do think I believe it because when I am giving Reiki for dogs and especially my dog, my little dog, she she likes Reiki and I said she receives Reiki every day. So when I call her Reiki time, and she comes and she lays down, and sometimes she comes and sniff my hand. So
mm,
I think they can see something more than
yeah.
that we don't. Yeah, I really do because they come to the hand, straight to the hand, and
Mm,
it's impressive. I think I think animals are way more sensitive than we are. They
mm,
feel
yes.
much more, and they they have great results because they are so open and they don't
Mm,
have the prejudices we have, and they don't keep thinking
mm,
what is Reiki. They just
yeah.
feel Reiki and receive Reiki, and they feel good and they
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's I think they are quite open to Reiki. And sometimes they are quite funny because there are those dogs who are very active and doesn't stop 1 minute. And there's a patient of mine. She's a an English bulldog, and she's
Mm,
quite. She's always moving, and she doesn't want to stop. And then I start Reiki. I start sending Reiki, and she goes like that, and her eyes start closing, but she doesn't want to close her eyes, but she goes. So
Yeah,
it's quite funny.
it's
It's
that's it.
quite funny.
It's beautiful that it's really amazing, you know, that it has that effect, and it has the effect so fast as well. It really is
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah,
that's really amazing. That's why I love animals, and I always did because I always wanted to be a vet, and I think they are quite amazing, and they receive Reiki really, really uh, in a better way than we do.
yeah,
They
yeah. It's right what you're saying because they have no blocks like we do in life. They
Yeah,
have no ego. They have no expectation. They're just very very present in the moment, and very 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 routine based as well. So they know when, you know, Reiki time. They know when Reiki time is going to be. They know when the dinner time is. They know when biscuit time is. You know, so they're very very into their into their routine. And yeah, so my dogs, they always know, like on a morning. It's usually on a morning time for me. I will either be doing my Reiki or be doing my meditation, or I'll do both. And they know that when I start that, straight away they will just curl up as close as they can to me, and they will just get what they need from the Reiki, from through me as well. And it's just beautiful that we can help in that way. And I think the other thing as well that I try to explain to people, and trying to get across this little barrier of not knowing about Reiki, and the effectiveness of Reiki, is I always try to explain, like, when we're young and you fall over and you scuff your knee, and the first thing you do is you go and put your hand on your knee. The first thing you do straight away, without even thinking about it, you put your hand on your knee, because you're giving yourself healing. So we're automatically giving ourselves healing just by putting our hand there. If we have a headache, we rub our head, you know, we put our hand on our head, giving ourselves healing. If you got backache, you put your hands on your back to try and you give it, but not consciously being aware of it, but that is what's happening. But we're automatically trying to give ourselves healing, to that point. So that's another thing, another way that I try to get across to people that we are the natural healers. You know, we are all natural healers, and we're all able to do it. The thing that sometimes I do struggle with, and I've got better at it now, is trying to explain distance Reiki to somebody that doesn't know what Reiki is. So trying to explain that to somebody. So how would you put in terms, from your perspective, what distance Reiki is, and how it works?
yeah. From this perspective, I believe that energy has no boundaries. So when the person say, ah, how does it work if at distance? And then I say, well, I am not seeing the energy. Okay, you don't see Wi-Fi as well, and we are talking here. So we are at a huge distance, and I usually give this explanation. And for example, I I say when you start a Reiki session, even if it's distant, normally the person relax, yeah, and
Mm,
that's the energy that goes through the miles. And I know there are some people who say that as the distance gets larger, the energy gets weaker, but I don't believe it. This is from a
no,
point of view of, yeah, I don't believe it because
yeah.
it does work the same. So I would explain like a Wi-Fi or electromagnetic energy from those cell phone towers and things like that,
Mm,
because you are not seeing any of these
yeah,
energy waves, and they are all traveling around here.
yeah.
So yeah, I really believe that it works and works quite well. And there are some people who are initiated in Reiki that really has some difficulties in believing in distant Reiki, I
Yeah.
guess.
It took me a long time to get my when I learned Reiki. It took me a long time to try and get my head around it. But as you learn and as you develop and as you grow as a practitioner, you actually, right, okay, pennies start dropping and you start realizing what's actually going on. So I was having this discussion with somebody at the weekend, and I was talking about Reiki, and I said, "Oh, well, what's Reiki?" I said, "Well, it's a Japanese healing art, and it's just about basically placing your hands gently on or near the body, and it helps you just to relax, you know. And as you relax, your body starts to repair itself and heal what needs to be healed." Like, oh, that sounds really interesting. Sounds really nice. And I said, but I said when I started the business, I always did distance Reiki. Right, well, how does that work then? So what popped into my head straight away was the analogy of um when you know sometimes you'll think of somebody and
Yeah,
then
that's it.
that same day or the next day they'll ring you or you'll see them because you've tapped into that
Yeah,
frequency and they said, "Oh, well, that happens all the time." I was like, "Yeah, exactly." I said, "That's what you're tapping into. You're tapping into that frequency." And I explained about like kind of like the radio waves. I said, "Okay, you turn your radio on. You can't see the radio waves, but the radio is receiving and giving signal all the time. We're exactly the same. We're receivers and givers of energy." And our intention is what sends it to wherever it needs to go. So that kind of like they were like you could see then that the light switched on, and you were like, "Oh, okay," and it started to make a little bit more sense. But for a long time, it took me a while to try and be able to work out the ways of explaining it because I think sometimes you want to make it more complicated or fascinating or spiritual as possible, but that can kind of like push people away a little bit as well. Mm. So
that's it. Yeah.
what's next? What's next on the agenda for you then? What's obviously you're doing your research, you're doing your Reiki research. Are I'm guessing you're a practicing Reiki practitioner as well at the same time. So do
Yeah,
you have clients that you work with?
more pet clients than
More pet clients?
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Normally I give Reiki to the pair, for, the owner and the pet,
yeah.
and but the next steps. Well, I am re- I'm just starting this new research, which will take a long time because it's more complicated than the first one. There are more things to do and to measure, and I don't know. I intend to go on with the research and show people that Reiki can and have to be done to animals and that it helps. And I really want to see it in veterinary practices,
Mm,
uh, which seems to be the hardest part. For
mm,
example, now I am trying to, I have some friends who are Reiki masters and they live in the US and they are going uh, to take part in my research as Reiki practitioners. And I am trying to get some volunteers, some dogs and pet parents to volunteer in the US. So I contacted many vet clinics and they just don't get me back. Or the one that answered my message said, no, we are not taking part in that. So
mm.
that's the skepticism that
Yeah, that's a real shame, isn't it? It's a real shame. Um, yeah. It must be frustrating because it is a little bit of a block, but you got to just keep going with what you're doing. You got to just keep pushing. You know, and if there's anybody watching this video today and maybe they're in the US, and they practice Reiki, whether you're a Reiki practitioner, Reiki master, whatever, if you practice Reiki, then and if you're interested in helping Claudia with her research, then get in touch because what I'll do is I'll link all of your website links, social media links. I'll put them all below in the descriptions box so people can go over and check out your posts, your Instagram pages, your website, wherever you are, to find out more about this because I think it's really fascinating. I think it's a bit of a gap in the Reiki market, to be fair. I mean, I know there's people that practice animal Reiki, and I know that it works, because I'm a Reiki practitioner, I know that it works anyway. But I think the research, and especially the animal research, as you've mentioned before, there's not many cases of much animal research. So I think the fact that you're doing that is filling a big gap that needs to be filled within Reiki research for sure.
And then I remembered one thing. It's not just the problem of being skeptical, but the problem of doesn't uh, recognizing, doesn't knowing that Reiki can be used in animals in veterinary because some in April I've done a webinar which was directed only to veterinarians, really to show them
Mm.
what was Reiki and how it could be done. And the interesting part is that there were some vets who were already Reiki practitioners, but they didn't realize they could do both. They could um,
Ah,
have Reiki into their veterinary practice. One told
right.
me, "Wow, I am a Reiki practitioner and I am a vet, but I never thought of these two things being together."
Mm.
So it's kind of a also a matter of opening the mind to
Yeah,
show that it one complete the other.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I think it's amazing work that you're doing, and I think I'll share this video as far and as wide as I can because I think it's something that needs to be, yeah, it needs to be addressed, and there needs to be more work that does go into it. And I think all Reiki practitioners around the world, as well as myself, will be very thankful for what you're doing, because of this research and the work that you are doing towards this and towards supporting animals, and animals that need the healing because of the situations they might be in, whether it's a current situation with an owner that might have some anxiety or mental health problems, or maybe it's the previous owner's problem, and then the current owner has got that energy that they have to work with because that happens as well, where it just carries into the next home that the dog might go to. Mm. Well, it's been wonderful to chat with you, Claudia, today. So we'll wrap this up here because we've been chatting for like nearly an hour, and I know time flies on these things, but it's been absolutely wonderful to connect. It's been wonderful to chat and to find out a little bit more about you. And I'd love to chat again in the future with you on the channel if you'd be up to discuss something. We can discuss that off camera a little bit after this. But thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll see you in another video very soon. And I will link all of Claudia's information down in the descriptions box so you can check out all of the links and all of the social posts, and also all of my links are there as well if you want to get in touch with any healing. Until then, thank you very much, and I'll see you again soon. Toodaloo for now.
thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Bye bye.
You're welcome. Thank you.